Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Valerie. In case anybody is new, I thought today for something fun, we're gonna do a random little impromptu question and answer. I put up a question on my question box on my Instagram yesterday and got some questions in, so I thought it'd be just kind of fun to do another little get to know me type of Q&A. I was kind of in a little bit of a creative funk the last couple days here. I just was not really sure what to film, and yeah, I was just kind of hitting a slump, so I was like, maybe I'll just do a Q&A to kind of, you know, hopefully turn things around. You need help? What do you want? Anyway, we're gonna just jump right into this Q&A. Sometimes Q&As can tend to get a little bit lengthy and long, so I kind of wanted to try to stay away from that a little bit. Let me get to my archives here on Instagram and find my questions. You guys can sit down with your cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is you drink, and this is going to be a little bit more of a podcast style video where you don't really have to watch it too much, but it's more of a just listen to it type of video. So this first question here is a very spring-esque type of question. It says, are you planning to do gardening this year, and if so, what will you plant? So what I'm hoping to do this year, I am not going to plant a garden. I've done that in the past, and it just, I don't know if it's not for me or if I'm just not educated enough on, I just don't know my stuff very well. So I decided I don't think I'm going to do that this year, but what I do want to do, I have a raised planter box that I had in a couple videos back. It was a collaboration I did, and it's a beautiful planter box. So I think what I would enjoy learning about more is flowers. I love flowers and I would love to grow some of my own, so I was kind of toying around with the idea of planting some roses maybe, or just, I'm not sure. I'm trying to do some research and see what kind of flowers I want to plant in there. I didn't really think it's a substantial enough of a space to plant vegetables, because I was like, there's no point in planting vegetables in just a, you know, box like this. It'll never last me all year anyway. Every year I'm always like, oh, a garden would be so nice, but then in all reality, I absolutely hate weeding it. I really don't like bugs a whole lot, so I mean, in that, those two kind of go hand in hand with gardening. So I don't know, maybe it's just not for me, but maybe eventually in the future I'll get more educated and just know my stuff a little bit better. A couple people actually asked how old I am. I am 25 years old. I always think that's kind of a funny question just because it's just a very straightforward answer, but I am 25. I got married when I was 20. Where do you get your clothes? Okay. So where I get most of my clothes, like for instance this here, I got it at a thrift store. Most of my stuff I will thrift. However, this skirt that I'm wearing here, this striped knit, kind of knit material, I got that from Main Street Exchange. All of my denim skirts, my black denim and stuff like that, those are from the Main Street Exchange. I love them because obviously they have modest clothing, but their pieces usually last a really long time. They're really good quality. Yes, they're a little bit expensive, but honestly, anytime you want to buy something modest, it's gonna be expensive, sadly. But yeah, I would say thrift stores, Main Street Exchange. There's also a local boutique here called Grace and Joy. I get some stuff from them. I love those. And both of those shops are online as well, so if you guys want to check them out, you can. I would absolutely love, like, I love New Flora, but they are so expensive. Like, Main Street Exchange is expensive, but then New Flora is like next level expensive. I mean, like $70 to $80 for a shirt. Dresses are in the 90s to 100, and I can't afford that. I would love to be able to justify that kind of spending, as in, like, I know that they're a really good mission. They're a small shop and they have good values. Their clothes are sustainable and their quality cottons and linens. I love all of that stuff, but I just can't spend the money on it, and it makes me sad because, yeah, I just can't. But ideally, that's the kind of place where I'd want to get my clothes. I would want to get really good quality clothes, and yeah, but then I'm also like, I love thrifting enough that I don't think a capsule wardrobe would work for me because I thrift so often and I love to thrift clothes. So my wardrobe fluctuates kind of a lot. So a capsule wardrobe is really not for me. Do you speak Pennsylvania Dutch? No, I do not. I really wish I did, because in this area, it would come in handy so much. You're sometimes up a creek without a paddle if you can't speak it. My mom actually grew up in Indiana and my dad grew up around here, so she wasn't in an area where they spoke it, so she didn't learn it. And so when they got married, obviously we didn't learn it because my mom didn't know it, so she couldn't speak it to us really. And my dad actually learned it, I think, from playing with his Amish neighbor kids. So he can speak it fluently, but it's just a lot of times when it's the dad in the family that can speak it and the mom can't, the kids usually don't learn it because the mom is with the kids most of the day, and so it just kind of gets lost if the mom can't speak it, which makes me sad because I would love for my boys to be able to at least understand it. I don't really expect them to be able to talk it, because even for me, I can understand a lot more than I can speak. I don't know where to put all the little things and how to use them correctly, but if I can hear it in a conversation, I can usually I can figure out what a conversation is about, but I definitely wouldn't say that I understand it for sure. And I know enough that you can't talk about me in front of me, so but I for sure can't speak it. Will you have more kids? Lord willing, yes. I would love to have more kids. Our two boys were pretty close in age. They're 19 months apart, and that is kind of what we were hoping for, was to have our first two, kind of close. I told Chip, if we would have a girl next, there's a possibility I could feel like I would be done. I don't know. I feel like right now for me, I'm like, oh, I want 3 kids for sure with an option of a 4th. Every time we have a kid, our number goes down. But I feel like if we would have another boy next, I would be like, oh, I'd want to try one more time just to see if we have a girl. So I don't know, 3 to 4 kids possibly, but Lord willing, yes, I would love to have more kids. Okay, the next question, what is one big thing in life you'd like to do / accomplish for yourself that you have not yet attained? I love this question. So probably the first thing that comes to my mind would be taking a trip to Europe. Back in 2020, me and Chip were married, but we didn't have any kids yet, and we had a trip planned with a bunch of our friends to go to Europe for 2 weeks, and I think we were gonna hit 4 different countries maybe. Obviously, we know what happened in 2020. Our trip was planned for September of 2020. And so we were like, oh, surely it'll be okay by then. Well, things just kind of plummeted and got even worse. So we obviously had to cancel our trip. And that was just really, really sad to me, because I've missed the mark multiple times in my life growing up as far as traveling goes. So it's not that I haven't tried to travel. It's just that doors have literally closed for me whenever I try to do a trip like that. I'm not sure why. We did just go to Dominican on a kid-free trip, and a small part of me was like, I can't believe the kid-free trip I'm taking is not to Europe. But that being said, I had the most relaxing, wonderful time on that Dominican trip. I would do that 1,000 times over. Chip does say, he says, someday I will take you to Europe. And at the boys' age right now, I know people do it, but for us, it's just out of the question to do a Europe trip with our boys. It just wouldn't work well for us personally. I know some people do it and they do really well with it, but that just wouldn't be for us. So I think if we would ever go with our kids would have to be older, or we would have to go on a trip without kids. Someone says, what are your favorite things about having 2 kids under 2? Well, actually at the moment they're not 2 under 2, but for the first 5 months, I think, I had 2 kids under 2. Mateo turned 2 in November, so right now I have a 2-year-old and a almost 9-month-old, which is crazy. I can't believe he's almost 9 months. But my favorite thing specifically is that they're both boys, because I love that I know if we had a boy and a girl, their relationship would be similar too, but I just love that they can both be boys if they're going to be so close in age. I have loved watching their relationship just grow. They play and play together. Even with Robbie being so young, he just plays and plays with Mateo, and it's the cutest thing. I absolutely love watching their relationship, and just they're so close in age, but yet their age gap is far enough right now that it makes a huge difference in their development. But I love watching Mateo he can be naughty, but he can also be really sweet to Robbie. I guess that answer isn't really specific to having 2 kids under 2, because I feel like, that could be an answer for whatever age your kids are, but I really have loved watching them play together, and I love that they're close in age like that. What's the best and hardest thing about becoming a mom? Well, sometimes I told Chip the other day, think about how weird this is. We've only been parents for 2 years, but it feels like we've been parents for like a lot longer than that. And I don't really mean that in a negative way. It just feels like we've always had him with us. So when I had Mateo, probably the hardest thing for me, we'll start with the hardest thing so we can end on a good note. Probably the hardest thing for me was just losing my freedom, my independence a little bit. Not that I was ever a very super independent person, but it was more just the thing of being able to come and go as I please. And I love being alone. I love driving by myself. I love shopping by myself. I love the peace and quiet and being on your own timeline. Don't get me wrong, I love going out with friends and my family too. But that was probably the hardest thing for me, is that I have to have scheduled times when I'm by myself, because either I have to get a babysitter. I don't know. I had to go help Mateo with something, but I think what I was saying is it's hard now because I have to have scheduled times that I'm by myself, because either having a babysitter or, you know, if Chip has the boys while I go do something, it's kind of has to be this planned out thing. So that was probably the hardest thing for me, and just, it was also really hard, and it is still really hard for me to see my body change the way it has. Like, I saw a video of myself around our weddings, sometime around there, and even my voice sounded different, which that comes with age. No matter if you have kids or not, your voice just kind of matures over time. But I looked at myself and I was like, I feel like I don't even recognize that person. I've changed so much since then. I've been through so much more in my life. Not saying I've been through like bad things, but just becoming a mom and stuff, that has changed me a lot. I wonder if I could talk to myself back when I was 20, what I would think of myself, or what my prior self would think of me now. Like, I've just always wondered that. So that was the hardest thing. Two hardest things maybe. But the best part about becoming a mom, ironically to what I just said, is that you're not alone. You will have those people. I'm trying to think of, like, how would it be when I am elderly and like in my 60s, 70s, up in there, and if I wouldn't have any children, I would be very sad about that. I know I would be, because like, those are the times when you would love to have your family close by. So in that aspect, I love to think of that in the future, that like, we won't be alone. We will have our children, hopefully grandchildren, and I'm really excited about that. Building a family, no matter how you go about doing it, whether it's adoption or having your own children, it's just such a beautiful thing, because it's the way God designed it. And I just love that. And I also love, like, little children are just so sweet. Like, Teo just learned how to give actual kisses lately, and it's been the sweetest thing. I love watching them learn new things, and just their innocence is absolutely just so precious. Like, Mateo thinks if he gets an ouchie, he literally thinks that me kissing it makes it completely better. He's at that age where like, me kissing his boo-boo is going to make it, he's totally fine. I would just, to have that innocence would be incredible. I love seeing that side of children. It's kind of turning into a motherhood Q&A, but okay, the next question here is best advice for a new mom. So like, obviously I only have 2 kids, so I feel like I can't speak into this too much, but when I had Mateo, obviously it's the first one, so I just felt a lot more uptight and just anxious. I had a lot of anxiety just about things that are gonna happen to him, like that I was just sure like this is gonna happen to him and we're gonna lose him. And he was perfectly fine. I had no reason to think those things. But I just had some anxiety, and I also, for sure the first 2 weeks postpartum, I just had it literally was just a fog over my brain. I couldn't remember things very well. I could hardly remember when I fed him, and even just like leaving somewhere, I couldn't remember the simplest of things. And then that kind of faded away after about 2 weeks. But so yeah, my advice for a new mom is like, if that's something you're experiencing, it does get better. Your anxiety will go away. And my advice is, I guess, it sounds cliche, but that will pass. Basically, even when Mateo, like before I had Robbie, but Mateo was 1. Yes, he was still my only child, but like I didn't feel near as uptight as everything, because I just remember thinking, is it always gonna feel this way? Like he's gonna be my guinea pig for everything. But no, it really does get easier even if you only have the one child. Like, you start to know your child better and just learn what works and what doesn't for you and your child. And so it's just normal to feel all of those things, especially the first time around. But yeah, wrapping up that question, I feel like I don't really have a great answer as far as advice for a new mom, other than just it gets better. A new mom, you're gonna experience anxieties and everything that, you know, comes with that, but it's normal. And if you don't experience that, that is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I don't think it happens to every woman. So Teo is looking at a book down here, so try to block out the background noise. I'm going to wrap up this little Q&A with this last question that I really like. Somebody asked, what has the Lord taught you in the past days or weeks? So if I'm being perfectly honest, I have been struggling lately with having my devotions, and just even when I do have them, I struggle with really getting anything out of it because I get interrupted a lot. And getting up early doesn't really feel feasible for me in this stage of life. I know some women do it, but like, it just doesn't for me. So I've just struggled with figuring out how devotions looks for me in this stage of life. But something that I've had to think about, that I feel like God has been very present in, that I've tried to keep my prayer life active. And I will pray for certain things, like not like asking for signs, not stuff like that, but more so just like, please just show us the way. And I'm more specific than that, but I feel like God has definitely proved himself that he is there and he hears my prayers, and he has answered little things for me that seem very insignificant that he totally would not have to do. But I just feel like I feel at peace with where I'm at in life, where we are at in life. And so I feel like what God has been telling me lately is just that this season of life, it can be hard. And you know, I feel like my devotions, I'm in a dry spell with that, but I feel like he is definitely still, like, he's just been telling me that it's okay. It's kind of what I've been feeling from him lately, and I love that because God totally understands whatever stage of life you're in. And he sees you, and he sees the little things, he sees your little needs, even your little wants, and he cares about those things. And that's just something he's been showing me lately, and I've been just inspired by that. So yeah, I hope it can encourage somebody out there if you're struggling with those same things. God definitely, he definitely understands that. But my encouragement to you would just be trying to keep your prayer life active. And it is hard for me a lot of times, but yeah, I try to have like designated times that I spend praying. Like maybe it could be when you're folding laundry, or when you're taking a shower, or before you fall asleep at night, or just when you're nursing your baby, whatever it may be. Just trying to keep your spiritual prayer life active. That has really been what's helping me. I think I'm gonna wrap up this video with that. So Mateo's getting a little bit antsy and wants me to read to him, so duty calls. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I know it's a little bit more low-key than what I usually do, but I hope you enjoyed it. So I will see you guys very soon next week. Bye!